Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, our live webinar from Panaya today. It's about how to succeed in global ERP transformation projects. And we will find out why Fluke said that Panaya worked like a charm. So I'm still waiting. I see that people are joining in, so I'll give it another minute. So stay tuned and we will start very shortly. Maybe I will use this time to let you know that all lines are muted for optimal sound quality. But if you have questions, definitely submit them in the Q&A box below. We will try and have time, if time permits, and answer a few of them by the end of this session. And this session is being recorded and also will be sent to you afterwards. So don't worry, you can revisit everything and re-listen and re-watch it. So yeah, I want to be punctuate. So I think we have a pretty big crowd today. So I'll start now. So welcome again to our webinar. In today's session, we're gonna meet our special guest, Oliver Rademacher. Probably I'm not pronouncing it right. He will introduce himself shortly and will pronounce his name correctly, from Fluke, our longtime champion and customer. We will talk about his ERP project and how he conquered and succeeded tremendously doing it. From the scoping to the planning to the execution. We will pay a little bit extra attention to the UAT imperative. It's a pain point that we get a lot from customers, and we have the perfect solution. And I think Oliver can share his experience. And in the end, we'll talk a little bit about Panaya and how can we help in ERP transformational projects. So welcome, Oliver. Hello.
Hello.
Finally,
Thank you.
after this long speech, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, as you can see on the screen, my name is Oliver Rademacher. It's actually German. That's how you would pronounce it, but I'm perfectly fine with Rademacher, which
I did my best.
no, very well. So that's perfect. Yeah, I'm working for Fluke in the Fluke Oracle application team since roughly 10 years now. With the company, I'm a bit less than 20 years working in the order manage area before. And yeah, that's all about me with regards to Fluke. Privately, yeah, I'm not sure if I should share that one, but I'm interested in hiking and stuff like that. So that would be me.
Hiking is nice. And maybe we will talk a little bit about Fluke. It's a huge enterprise, but maybe some people are not very familiar. So if you can share a few points about Fluke.
Yeah, sure. I try to keep it short. It's a longer story. Fluke got founded like roughly 75 years ago in Washington. It was those days it was test and measurement tools for the industrial market, and nowadays 75 years later we are in a lot of different markets. So we do medical test and simulation products for the medical area. We do for production areas. We do monitor alignments, vibration analysis, condition monitoring. We do in the network area. So it's really a broad portfolio that we have nowadays. And yeah, everywhere, I have to say that everywhere where we are competing, we are number one or number two of the market. And globally.
Yeah, so a real market leader and publicly traded, NASDAQ and almost $6 billion revenue, and more than 2,500 employees. Probably how big is you? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your team, like or the IT. How big is it in Fluke?
The IT team working for the application area, that is roughly 40 people serving the global market.
Right.
And global market means nowadays we have sites all over the world with administrative side, but also distribution centers or manufacturing centers. Mainly, we're focused in the US, Europe, and Asia.
Right. So a big company, a big challenge. So maybe you can share with us the challenge. I just want to say that from our perspective, even though it's in the topic of this webinar, we talk about ERP projects. ERP is not an island anymore, and landscapes of enterprises are so complex and full of dependencies and integrations with other tools as well, other applications and IoTs and so on. And that has made our job at the IT and QA even more complex, let's say, because we need to, the risk is bigger. Things are, influencing, you get influences and dependencies from other applications too, and change is bound to happen every minute, and you need to make sure that it does not disrupt the business, right? So maybe you can share with us a little bit about the specifics of your project.
Yeah, the project I was working with, where I used Panaya the first time, that was our web store, which we use for distributors to enable them to place orders 24/7, basically. The starting point was that we had two different stores. Both are, it's a bit technical now, but both are the customized version of iStore, which is the Oracle web store. And we had one in the US and one in EMEA. Two different ones, more or less based on the same. The project asked was to merge them into one store and to move them at least partially to the next version of Oracle. So the existing ones were on 11i, and we wanted to move partially the merged one to the R12 store. That was the headline of the project, and within that we also had I think it was 40 roughly enhancements that were also done within that project. So what we did do is we did a sprint approach. We had 5 different sprints for that one. The first one, and that was really the biggest one, that was the merger one, where we merged both stores into one store. And the other 4 sprints were to do enhancement that were gathered by the groups before, so the US group and the EMEA group.
Okay. So, and what testing tools were you using at that time before you approached Panaya?
I think, like a lot of other people, we were using Excel for that one, and it did serve us well. At least that's what we thought until we started with Panaya. We will get to that later, I guess. There are a couple of screenshots where you can see the complexity, and people on the phone will recognize it themselves. So the more complex you get, the less reliable or usable, I think, is Excel for an approach like that. So that's when
Will it be fair to say that your project involved both IT and business users, or do you have a very heterogeneous kind of team?
Yeah, not only that, also developers were part of that one. So of course you have developers which develop everything in the background, but when you're done with your development, then you of course would like to test everything, and that's where Panaya comes into play. So for us, that was the business.
So that's the solution, basically. Yeah. Can you remember, why did you choose Panaya? Like, you were on Excel sheets, you've decided that you need a tool. Why did you choose Panaya?
Because it's easy to use. It's a standard way of doing the testing. I mean, Excel is also a standard way, but when you start using Excel, every project, even every sprint, sometimes was having different layouts. You need to explain to your testers, to your developers, how to use the Excel sheet. And the overview or the visibility of the Excel sheet is basically, it's not existing. And everything you do for example, for the status of the project, so report out and everything around that, Excel doesn't provide it. You need to build it within Excel, okay, but you need to build it yourself. And Panaya hands it over to you ready, and that's why we used Panaya. And a big functionality that is of course a plus for Panaya as well is the handover functionality. So if a test consists of multiple steps, maybe
you can show it from your...
Yeah, perfect, thank you. So that's what we see there. That's a screenshot of a test setup from, I think it's the merger part that we see here. On the left side, you see the different test scenarios, and that's just a tiny little bit. So that plays into what I said, the visibility functionality that you have in Excel. You lose it when you use it in Excel. So in Panaya, it's very easy. You have the handover. So if a step is completed and you have multiple users that need to perform an action in a scenario.
We fondly call it the pass the baton mechanism, because we feel like, there is a way you structure and plan your testing, project, and then you kind of give the testing portion to every different tester, and then he gets notified only when it's his turn to test. And then first of all, we don't take a lot of the time and effort, like, when you are needed, you will get notified, and also you as a manager have full visibility and control over the process, and where it's advanced, where it's stuck, and so on.
It's basically a pull system, so you only get pulled into Panaya, let me say like that, if it's your turn to do something. So you don't compare with Excel, you don't need to check every, I don't know, second day, half day, whatever, if there's something for you to do. And that's the real benefit.
Okay. And this is your plan, your test tree here of the project.
That's
anything to say about this?
We decided by country to group it by country, and first of all to group it by sprints. So you see the merger sprint there, and the interesting, the highlighted one, which is, I think it's called EDC. The merger part, it looks quite small, but the highlighted one expanded is what you see on the very left, and that is just half of what's in there test-wise. So the organization, the structure that you can use in Panaya, it's fully up to you how you structure your testing. But for us, that was the best approach. So we had the main bullets were the sprints, and then underneath the sprints, we had the different countries and regions, and within them, the tests that needed to be performed.
And of course, it's easy. You can search certain tests, you can duplicate, you can, mix and match from different sprints. Right.
Duplication was a huge relief for me when I was setting up the planning, because sometimes, or very often actually, the testing to be done by the different countries is the same one. So you could set up one test by, I don't know, EDC, which is for us Europe. You set it up there, and then you copy the same into the US area.
So we see it a lot in rollouts, right? Because it's kind of the same thing happening over and over again, and you have all the structure ready, and you can just kind of have it to different countries. Right. You also shared this screen from your project with us. So take us through this.
That is, that's provided by Panaya. That's the overview of the status. You can simply see
the dashboard, right?
It's the dashboard. It's taken after the project was mostly done, so that's why you see everything green. Normally, you do see a lot of.
And you're happy.
And green, you're happy, yeah. And you can click on everything. So I think when the next slide comes in, I clicked on the ones that are failed. Yeah, there we go. So there you see what has failed. You see the exact scenario name, and you can click further. So you can click on the scenario, see, okay, what exactly was that scenario, and you can see who tested it. And the good thing is you can also see if a defect was recorded to that one. So if it is a failure where someone found something not to be working according to what you have spec'd out. And then you get, then you get to the defect management, which is also something that I really like, because if you play very well, and I guess we did in this case, then the business users can directly coordinate with the developers. Everyone knows what needs to happen. So everyone can say it's not happening because of, and then you get to the defect management, because you can record what's not working. You have that. I mean, we didn't talk about that one yet, but everything
it's like a closed loop thing between developer and tester, right? So basically, they don't need to leave it and to go to Jira or whatever, or even we can integrate there. But here you have like a conversation, a closed loop conversation. So the tester, because it keeps, I don't know if we mentioned that, it keeps all the test evidence, so he knows exactly what defect and bug was found, and how did even the tester got there. So he has everything documented. Then the developer knows exactly how he got there, so it's easier to fix it. And then he sends the tester the fixed part again, and then like they go in a closed loop until it's green, basically. And they don't even need to like communicate. It doesn't need to take screenshots. He doesn't need to call him. Like everything is documented and shown.
That was a really great help for me, because previously when we were working with the Excel sheets, in every defect I was involved. I needed to pull the defect from the testers, explain it to the developers, and maybe have the tester in the call, then showing what has happened. That's all done by Panaya. They take it over. I think, I'm not sure, actually shouldn't say how many defects we had during the test, but you see there were quite some, and I think that's kind of normal.
Well, the important part is they didn't go on the live deployment portion, but I think that when you have in mind, we have in mind this kind of remote communication, because we serve a lot of enterprises, and they all worked in remote places even before COVID time, which really enhanced the need for remote working. And this is just a great way to communicate without disturbing each other, and everything is documented, and everything is also kind of standardized. Like how everything is. You don't need to invent every time the process. The process is just kind of dictated to you in a very user-friendly way and visible.
And with regards to the communication, as I said earlier, that was a project which was also globally. And if you communicate by a tool and you only get pulled into the tool when there's something to do, that really helps you if you're working with people totally outside your time zone.
Right. And also, would you say that about like onboarding, because you said that you had quite a big team that had to test, and business users, did you find this to be easy to onboard people, or
it doesn't count that much what I think, but I of course also asked my users when we were using Panaya, and they were absolutely happy with it. So it's easy. It takes you roughly 10 minutes. You need, of course, to explain what you're doing, what the testing, but usually in a project, people already know what they're up to. So if the test is formulated clear, then it's fully clear to the users. I normally, with the first sprint, of course, I explained everything in detail because it was the first time. But the second time already, I think I just handed out the scenarios to them without explaining anything on detail, and they were ready to start right directly without any further explanations.
Yeah, because we sometimes hear, Excel, everyone can use Excel, but the tools sometimes they are very cumbersome and really hard to comprehend. But I think even for not very technical business users, they just go about their regular task and can use it. Okay, so I just wanted to say a word about UAT and about the collaborative pass the baton mechanism that we like, and we offer in Panaya for ERP projects. So basically, first of all, you can use it cross application. I don't know if you can see here, but it's a cross application testing scenario that is like order to cash, let's say for e-commerce, when a person is purchasing something, he goes to Magento, and then he gets a mail, yes, your order was we received your order, and then it goes on and on. It goes to the SAP, and maybe it goes to the warehouse management platform to get the actual item that this person purchased. It has to go to the CRM to get his details, and then it has to put a label on the and call the DHL. So you can actually plan everything across application within Panaya. Panaya is agnostic in that sense, and you can hand different portions of the testing mission, different tests to different testers, whether they're IT or business users, it doesn't matter. And you as a manager can kind of oversee it, watch it, and control it and gain real-time visibility to know where the process is standing at any point. Plus, it's really very user-friendly. So I can tell you that we have one customer that said, I already maybe onboarded more than 800 business users, and no one told me, no, I don't know how to do it. I can't use this tool. So
I don't have those numbers, but the experience is the same. Everyone is kind of happy using it. It's easy to use. There was no one saying, no, that's too complicated, I'm not going to use it. Never ever happened.
cool. So I just want to show this is the notification and the mail that you get. So when it's your turn, you just get email and it tells you, hello, Thomas, this is your turn to test. Please, press the button, and then you go about your portion of the test, and then you do done. And then Oliver is happy because he's getting another green light. And less things to do, and then you go on to your regular day job and not being harassed anymore by by the testing IT team. So let's talk a little bit maybe about the impact, because it is something that you've invested in, not just in terms of that it's maybe not free, but also because if you have a tool, you need to implement it, you need to. Can you tell us the impact? Why do you think, maybe in as tangible as possible way, why do you think it's worthwhile, or what was the benefit for your Oracle ERP project?
I always like to say standardization. That's one of the very biggest one. For every project that you're using Panaya for, the reporting is the same. The recording is the same. The recording is something that always can be used for every project, also for audit purposes later on. So if you have an audit and you need to prove something, it's in Panaya, it's all in one place. The testing time to measure, that one is a bit tricky, because I think most people do not measure their testing time at all, or if correctly right now. So everyone has Excel, and Excel is free, but that's of course only half of the story. So for Excel, you need to start setting up the test sheet. You need to explain every test sheet to the users, because they're all slightly different. So that all goes away with Panaya. If you want to make an RI on that one, that's where you should start. Like what is really everything included, the cost that we have right now for our testing. And then later on, you can see with Panaya that you will see a drop in your cost, definitely, even though Panaya, as you already said, of course, is not for free. But you see the test time is reduced. You have the standardization. And as already said in the beginning, that feeds into your audits, that feeds into your reporting and in your archiving. So you're very, very well settled with that one.
Right. Do you want to maybe talk to us a little bit about your next project? Give maybe some tips how you can guarantee success, maybe even in your next project. And are you gonna expand using this platform?
Yep. At least that's the plan. So for me personally, the next project is again the same. We have another round of 40 enhancements, also again globally. So there we will use it, and we are very well experienced in doing that with Panaya. What I also would like to mention, because I think that's quite interesting, people have access to Panaya themselves, and not in every testing they do, IT is involved. But I have users already which use Panaya for themselves to create their own test scenarios and use it for the recording purpose. So that's something I think that's worth mentioning.
And then they can onboard. Is just for evidence, or just for onboarding other people as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. I think that the next biggest project that we're having, that is a change in our supply chain. So the way how we place orders internally throughout the companies, that's going to be a huge one. We just started with that one. I think the time frame will be something like 12 to 18 months, the runtime. And that is also global. And for that more, we'll also definitely use Panaya, because for all the benefits that I already explained.
Right. I think we can take maybe, I see a few questions in the chat box. Maybe we can take a question now. So about installation, how did you manage to install different users, to manage the installation of different users?
I personally would say the word installation is already wrong here because it's a web application. That is part of the 10 minutes. I think you need two add-ons for your browser. We're using Chrome and Fluke for that one. And that's it. There's also, I mean, you know yourself, of course, there's a manual on the Panaya self-service web pages. But even if you don't use that one, if you quickly explain to the user, it's just installing those two plugins and then they're set and ready to go. And for all the users that I were working with, there was no one having any issues. So that's also very straightforward.
Another question I have here is about test automation. Do you use it in Panaya? Do you use test automation?
That's a tricky one. No would be the straightforward answer, but that's also a bit more complex. For me, Panaya is a test management software. So like we showed already, you manage the way how you test. And you can do also automation with that one, I think, but that's depending on which version, in our case, Oracle you're using. But to answer that one fully correctly, I also would like to say that testing for a lot of people is this magic box. You push it and it does do everything for you. And whenever I'm looking at potential that we could automate for testing, that never applies because you have so many tiny things that need to be different on every test, for example, that it isn't a straightforward thing to automate. What you could do, and I think Panaya also offers that one, if you have the right version of Oracle in our case, is regression testing. So if you have done a couple of tests and you need to redo the same test, then you can use Panaya for that one.
That's true. Okay, maybe we'll talk a little bit about Panaya for people that didn't know us before or they want to know better. So we are the smart AI powered testing and change intelligence platform. We were founded in 2006. We have more than happy 3,000 customers already, and we operate all around the world. We are leaders in ERP and CRM, impact analysis and testing and test automation that we've launched lastly this year, and we're very happy. And this is a little bit a taste of our customer base. A lot of big enterprises, 500 Fortune companies, with Fluke as an old and very loyal and happy, I hope, customer. We are also recognized as market leaders in test management for 13 consecutive quarters. By now, I don't know if you're familiar, but G2 is the largest customer review portal. So it means a lot. We think that customers, and that's why we also invited our champion Oliver today. Customer speaks louder than than our marketing team or what we can say about ourselves. So we very happy with this non-biased review-based score that we got. And last but not least, we believe in user friendliness and ease of use. And so we didn't go with the approach of best of breed tools, but we've kind of developed our own platform that everything is native and everything is seamlessly combined together. So we have test management that I think we've discussed today a lot with Oliver, that we support. We're agnostic and we can support every really web application, business application, but also with a lot of focus on the big ones that are ERP, CRM, and Workday, ServiceNow, Blue Yonder, Manhattan, and other and SAP Fiori, Salesforce, etc. We have impact change analysis where tells you what to test and what not to test, what's the risk, what will be like the impact, and pinpoints exactly what you should and shouldn't invest time in testing. And lately, we've launched a no-code automation that is supporting SAP, GUI and Fiori, supporting Oracle, cloud, and supporting all really web business applications. So if you would like to hear more about it, we really urge you to book a demo, and we will show you what we can do for you in terms of test automation. I do agree with Oliver that at the end of the day, it's a combination. You can't automate everything. I wish we could, but even for the portions that you can automate, it can still save a lot of your time and effort, be less human prone, to error prone, and so on. I want to thank you very much, Oliver, for joining and for sharing all your knowledge today. And for you to, to have joined us and watched it. If you want to know more, please go on our website, panaya.com, contact us, book a demo, and explore all the different, literature that we've created there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye. What about?
Bye.
Thanks.